When my wife said, "If you can't accept my daughter, then leave," I packed my bags quietly. What she never understood was this. I wasn't walking away defeated. I was walking towards something she never saw coming. I still remember the exact tone in her voice. Not angry, not loud, just cold, like the decision had already been made weeks ago, and she was simply informing me of the outcome. "If you can't accept my daughter, then leave." We were standing in the kitchen. Evening light slanted through the window, catching dust in the air. The smell of tea had gone cold between us. I looked at her face, the woman I had married 7 years earlier, and realized something painful and freeing at the same time. She thought this was an ultimatum. I heard it as permission. Her daughter, Alina, was 16 when we married. I never tried to replace her father. I never raised my voice. I never laid down rules that weren't already agreed upon. All I asked for was respect inside my own home. What I got instead was silence, sabotage, and slow erosion. Alina ignored me completely at first. Then came the eye rolls, the deliberate messes, the lies. She'd tell her mother I shouted at her when I hadn't spoken a word. She'd accuse me of controlling behavior because I asked her not to bring strangers into the house at midnight. Each time, my wife chose to believe her. Each time, she told me, "She's just a child." I swallowed it. Over and over. I paid for the house renovation so Alina could have her own room. I covered her school fees when her biological father disappeared for the third time. I drove her to competitions, parent meetings, hospitals. I did everything except one thing: disappear. And that was the real problem. The night before the ultimatum, Alina accused me of reading her private messages. It was a lie, an obvious one, but my wife didn't ask for proof. She didn't ask me what happened. She just stood there, arms crossed, already disappointed. "I don't feel safe with you around her," she said. That sentence cracked something open inside me. Not because it hurt, but because it clarified everything. So when she told me to leave, I nodded. "No drama?" she asked, surprised. "No drama," I said calmly. I packed a single suitcase, left my wedding ring on the nightstand. Didn't take the car, even though it was in my name. I walked out without raising my voice. Behind me, I heard her say, "You'll regret this." She was wrong about many things. That was the first. For the first few weeks, I stayed in a small rented room near my office. The silence was strange. No slam doors, no acquiescence, no tension thick enough to choke on. At first, the loneliness came in waves. Then something else replaced it: clarity. I started sleeping better, eating properly, thinking clearly. That's when I looked at my finances. For years, my salary had quietly supported 3 people. School fees, therapy sessions, emergency expenses that were never explained. I had never complained. I thought that's what love meant. Now, for the first time, I saw the numbers without guilt. And I saw something else too. During my marriage, I had quietly invested in a logistics startup with a former colleague. I never mentioned it at home because every time I talked about work, I was accused of avoiding family issues. That startup had grown. Quietly. Steadily. 2 months after I left, the company was acquired. The amount deposited into my account was more money than I had ever seen in my life. I didn't celebrate. I didn't call anyone. I just sat there and understood the full weight of what had happened. Back at the old house, things were unraveling. Without my income, the lifestyle changed fast. Alina's private school fees were overdue. Credit card calls started coming. The car broke down, no money to fix it. Small cracks became visible everywhere. Then came the messages. First from my wife's sister, then from mutual friends. "She's struggling. She didn't think you'd actually leave. Alina is having a hard time." I didn't reply. Not out of revenge. Out of self-respect. 3 months after I left, my wife finally texted me herself. "Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. "Sure." We met at a quiet cafe. She looked tired. Older. Not defeated, but shaken. "I didn't think you'd abandon us," she said. I took a slow breath. "I didn't abandon anyone," I replied. "I was told to leave, so I did." She started crying. Talked about pressure. About being a mother. About making impossible choices. Then she said the sentence that changed everything. "I thought you needed us more than we needed you." I smiled. Not cruelly, not proudly. Just truthfully. That's where you were wrong. She asked if I would come back. Said Alina was ready to try. Said things would be different now. I asked one simple question. What happens the next time she lies about me? She had no answer. So I stood up, wished her well, and left. That night, I booked a flight. New city, new apartment, new beginning. I didn't post about it. I didn't announce anything. But life has a way of revealing truth anyway. The funny thing about leaving quietly is that people assume you disappeared because you had nothing left. They never imagine you left because you finally had everything you needed. In my new city, I rebuilt myself piece by piece. Not to prove anything, just to live honestly. I bought a modest apartment overlooking a river, started working remotely as a consultant, choosing projects instead of begging for approval. I went to the gym regularly, read books I had abandoned years ago, reconnected with friends I had lost because family time was always prioritized over everything else. 6 months passed. Then one evening, my phone rang with a number I hadn't saved, but I recognized instantly. It was Alina. Her voice was softer than I remembered. I just wanted to say, "I'm sorry," she said. I didn't understand what I was doing. I believed her. People grow. Pain teaches lessons comfort never does. But belief doesn't mean access. I accept your apology, I said. But some doors don't reopen. She was quiet for a moment. Mom says you changed, she said. No, irrégulièrement. I just stopped shrinking. Word traveled faster than I expected. Mutual acquaintances found my social media. Old co-workers reached out. People who had watched me bend and apologize and endure suddenly saw a different man. Not louder, not bitter, just unmovable. A year after I left, I heard the final update through someone else. My wife had sold a house. Alina moved in with her biological father. The marriage was officially over, not because of one argument, but because of years of imbalance finally catching up. I felt no joy in that, only closure. One afternoon, while walking by the river, I realized something important. The moment she told me to leave was the moment she assumed she held all the power. But power doesn't belong to the person who gives ultimatums. It belongs to the person who can walk away without begging. I didn't win because I became richer. I didn't win because they struggled. I won because I chose myself without hatred. And that's what she never saw coming. She thought I would fight. She thought I would plead. She thought I would break. Instead, I left quietly and built a life so complete that I never needed to look back. Sometimes, the strongest response isn't an argument. It's acceptance and walking away. You just heard a story of betrayal, survival, and quiet revenge. If it left you thinking, hit like, share it forward, and subscribe for more true emotional stories that'll stay with you long after they end. Every click helps another story find its voice.